that a good fish?
Yeah.
This week on Kentucky Afield.
Look at that.
Most fishermen target crappie in the spring. Well, we're in the boat with Tom, and he's showing us why they might just be overlooking the best time of the year.
It's more predictable. I need the net again.
Next, sometimes the toughest part of a big game hunt can be getting the animal out. We'll show you how to make it a little easier. Then we take a look at one of the innovative ways the department is controlling invasive species. It's all next on Kentucky Afield.
Such a pretty fish.
Beautiful.
This pond is plumb loaded with frogs.
They're everywhere in here. Yeah, this is a good fish right here. Really good fish.
Come here, girl.
Hey, boy.
That's a big rabbit. Nice job. Yes! Yes! My first muskie. Mercy Leo!
Yeah, look at here, it's a keeper.
Here it goes! Boom! Oh!
Wow, that happened fast.
Hello, and welcome to Kentucky Afield. I'm your host, Chad Miles. Join us as we journey the Commonwealth in search of outdoor adventure. People often wonder, what is the best month to go crappie fishing? Well, I guess that depends on who you ask. So today we're out here on Barren River Lake with Tom Perkins. And Tom, you love to crappie fish, but you told me that August is one of your favorite months, which most people who crappie fish would think that's the craziest thing they've ever heard.
Yeah, you can just about plan how many you're gonna catch each day. When the dog days of summer where it's every day's hot, it's more predictable. I need the net again.
There we go. And you're fishing 2-pound test,
Yes, sir.
and you're throwing a little white jig there. And for you, you say there's no really reason to throw too much else, huh?
No, I can't throw anything else. That's the only thing I got.
Limited by your tackle box, but if you're catching fish, then there's no limitations at all.
Yeah, I've been fishing that since 1990. And I was like every other crappie fisherman in the world, had a box with 40 colors, spend half my time going from one color to the other.
And the technique that you like is just drop it to the bottom right there in the brush pile and just reel it up, just like that, right there.
Or just like that. Another decent one. Easy, buddy.
There you go, just like that.
But they're good and healthy down here this year.
They sure are, they look great.
But the thing about this technique is once you figure out what depth they are, if you have enough brush piles, you can just move from spot to spot to spot. With the,
You got another one?
yes sir, I don't need the net.
Well, it looks like there's all sizes in here, that's good.
Yep, just caught him 2 years early. And I don't like to put my crappie right back where I'm fishing. I like to toss them out from the boat a little bit. I think they tell on you. Just like
yeah.
if you get one halfway to the boat and he gets off, it'll really slow your brush pile down. You do that a couple times, you might as well move.
A tattletale, huh?
Yeah, I think they give off some kind of scent. I have no way to prove it. Just my experience, if you let one get off, they really slow down.
Looks like a good one. Yeah. You got it.
Now that's a good keeper. See, that one's 10 inches. We just caught them better fish, but he's wide. He's got shoulders on him.
That's the kind you like if you're hungry.
Yep.
I'll take a thick one over a long one any day.
Yes, sir. You can see fish suspended over the top out there.
It's gonna be about exactly 15 feet, isn't it?
Just about, almost like I planned it. And you can see on this how much the brush comes up off the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's a key to having a good brush pile. Because if a cold front comes in or a high pressure system comes in, then fish got to move in the water column.
Mm-hmm.
If your brush pile is flat, they've got to move away from it. If your brush pile's got limbs that stick up, they can move up and down in the water column and they'll stay there.
That's perfect.
Like I say, we should catch a black crappie here.
Let me get that net.
I got it.
By golly, you called it.
Yeah.
Hey, when you can call what species of crappie you're gonna catch, that's pretty good. And you can see that the way to tell the difference on a black and a white crappie, you don't have the vertical lines. They're kind of just scattered a little bit everywhere. You see how these little black marks are just everywhere on that fish.
The way I tell them, if I really want to know, you can count these spikes.
Yeah.
And a black will have at least 7. A white will just have 6.
Okay.
See how the crappie's eyes are set on top of its head? Its mouth's even made to go up. A crappie will never feed down. You know, we're reeling by that fish in that brush pile, and as the bait comes out, he comes out of that brush and eats the bait. If you fish below them, you'll never catch one.
Yeah.
Because they won't look down, because their eyes are on top of their head. A bass will look down, crappie will never eat anything below it.
That's pretty good, calling a species before he even turns the engine off.
Yeah, I'll have to get my diver to move to the next pile before we move.
You better radio in and tell him where we're going. You know, it's not like we went from fishing 4 feet to 15 feet and you change the species. We're at the exact same depth, just...
That was a big flat over there. It's probably 100 yards to the channel. Here, it's 30 yards to the channel. You know, as we come in, we saw fish suspended over the channel over there, and they're really hard to catch. But the ones that are over this brush pile or in this brush pile up on the top of the point will eat.
Apparently so. There he is again.
This is a pretty good one here. And see, there's a white mixed in right in with them.
Those fins will get you, won't they?
Another nice fish, though.
It is a nice fish.
I think they'll average about 11 inches down here, on the average.
Yeah.
Net?
No, he feels like he's a little one. Look how little that is.
2 years early.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what, that's about a little they get right there. Got me a spot now. They're getting bigger.
Yeah.
If the next one is as much bigger than the first one is this
you're
one,
gonna
then
have a hog here in a
I'm
minute.
gonna have a good one. That one there's gonna be close, isn't he?
Nah, he'll make it.
There's another black crappie.
See, he's 10 inches.
10
He just looks small.
You've been throwing those 12 and 13 inch fish in there. It makes mine look so small.
Yeah.
Is that a good fish?
Yeah, there he come loose.
Look at that. It's a good one. That fish there was so close to the structure that he got in there after he bit.
He pulled me in.
Uh-oh. He took your bait there, didn't he?
Yep. Nice fat fish, though.
That's a really nice fish.
Yep.
Another black crappie, isn't it?
Some of these brush piles that I fish, the Corps put out, or the Fish and Game Department.
And you can find those,
you can go on the internet, and they're marked.
Yeah.
Most of mine at No Lin are marked where people found them and put them on the internet.
Yeah.
There's no secret spots now.
Not with the internet and electronics.
Now we need the net.
We got one now. That one there, that hit on the way down?
Yeah.
You never even got down to where you wanted to go. There you go. You called it again.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had one. No, you got one. You got a good one. Nice fish.
Yep, that's a nice fish.
Not close to deep water, and you got your white crappie again. Most of our hunters here in the state of Kentucky that hunt within our state boundaries have never needed to know how to quarter a big game animal. But if you get drawn to hunt elk, or you deer hunt on one of our wildlife management areas with limited access, this may come in handy.
Hi folks, my name is Gabe Jenkins. I'm the Deer and Elk Program Coordinator with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. We're here today to demonstrate how to field process an elk. So from the point that your animal is down and harvested, packing it, getting it ready, and then get it back to the truck. Today, here to help us, we have...
I'm Samantha Seaton, Conservation Educator with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife.
And I'm Becky Wallen, also a Conservation Educator with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife.
So basically we're going to show you the gutless method to where you are taking the hide off, breaking it down into quarters, and getting it ready for your pack. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing that I like to do is go ahead and make a ring right here at the hock, make a complete circle around the ring. Now you can use a regular straight knife and cut and work your way around through it, or you can use a gut hook like we have here, grab it and just kind of make a circular cut. And then we're going to take the knife and we're going to cut it right down the inside of the leg all the way to the brisket. As you're doing this, the more that hair you cut, the more you're going to have on the meat that you're going to have to deal with later in the processing part. So try to make that cut as smooth as possible to cut down on hair on the meat. You're going to make 2 longitudinal cuts. You're going to go one up from the brisket up the neck to be able to get to the neck meat, and then one from the brisket back to the base of the hind leg, and just move right up through here, right along the base. Once you get your line cut up through the stomach, you're going to take it and work just right along through here, back to the anus. So start your cut right here and just work right along through here. Stay kind of right on the edge of the skin to the hairline. Once you make your cut all the way up the stomach, what we're going to do is basically start at the bottom and remove the hide and work all the way up to the top. So whether you start on the back leg, the front leg, or in the middle, doesn't matter. The entire hide's got to come off on this side. I like to start on the front leg personally. It just kind of makes sense as I work my way through it. So let's bump up here to the front leg. Start there and start peeling down on the front and the back. You know, the whole goal right now is getting that hide off that front shoulder. You want to get this whole entire front shoulder off. You want to break it down into pieces and get those pieces off the animal and get it processed quicker. The biggest thing is to try to get this hide and the majority of the fat off the meat. So we've got most of the shoulder exposed all the way up to the neck, just a little bit more of this hide on the front part, and we'll be able to remove the front shoulder. So Becky's doing a great job starting here at the base and just kind of working just all one big piece of hide. When we're done with this, the hide should all be one piece. Sam's doing a good job as well, putting back pressure on it. Have that buddy that's here to help you to keep pulling and tugging. Person working the knife makes their job a lot easier.
Kind of allows me to see the separation between the muscle and the skin.
All right, so we got all the hide peeled back now at this point. Easily ready to remove this front shoulder. So Sam, we're going to have you go ahead and grab the front leg. The front shoulder doesn't connect to anything. It's all connected by muscle and tissue, so it's easy to remove. You don't need a saw or a hatchet. Just a simple knife that we've been using can help us remove it. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be close to 100 pounds. So as you get closer to the end, you need to be prepared of what am I going to do with it? Don't let it fall into the dirt or in the grass. Have a plan on where you're going to take it. Just go ahead and pick up the shoulder and make a cut straight across through there.
There it goes, Sam. All right.
So at this point, we're going to go move it into the shade. We'll go ahead and move to the back leg and repeat the exact same process. Start from the top and work our way back down to the spine again. So unlike the front leg, the back leg is connected. So there's a bone that we're going to have to go right between and kind of sever in between to be able to move from the hip socket. So you'll make a cut right and even with the guts and work your way kind of down at an angle. That bone's probably 3 or 4 inches deep right here. You should feel it with the tip of your knife. You're going to feel that socket of that hip joint. Hit it and just kind of work around. You are going to cut into the meat some, so just kind of keep working at an angle. That hip socket's going to be right there. So you're going to feel that kind of, it's like a fist, that hip socket. So you're going to work around it up top. There's not going to be a lot of meat towards the top. It's all going to be pretty much loose. Most of your meat's going to be right here at the base of the hip, and there's going to be some of this meat that's connected to the hip. So you'll kind of work at this angle and then turn that knife and move flat and work right up the hip bone this direction. There's going to be meat in behind that hip bone. So once you feel the end of your blade hit the end of that hip bone, you've cut enough on the underside and you'll kind of push backwards where you cut the back side of it. So now you've kind of got the end of the hip and you're going to cut down into it at that point. So we've got all the meat removed from the hip socket. Now we're kind of working up the back of the spine. You're going to take your knife and work this meat right along the spine, right on the edge of the spine, kind of up this direction, getting this ham, this roast that sits right in here on the back side of the leg. This is a 2-person job once this thing comes loose. So trying to cut some of this and not put all the weight on your helper is the best thing you can do here at this point. You're going to work that cut up about a foot and a half, and then it should come to a stop. There'll be a kind of a connective point right there, and you'll feel the top of the hip. That's where the back leg will end, and then the tenderloin will be moving forward at that point. Now when you get to the hip bone, there's going to be meat laying back in this side, so we're going to take the blade and work this direction and down a little bit. Perfect. And that's it. All right, excellent. So at this point, the spine is nice and exposed, so we'll go ahead and work on the back strap and get it removed. First thing, you're going to make a cut all the way down the spine, all the way to the very top of the shoulder. On this cut, you're just cutting about 2 to 3 inches deep, and you're cutting just some small connective tissue. So at this point, we're going to remove the back strap. This one's really nice and easy to visualize because it's this meat right here. So from the spine down to basically where the ribs start sticking out. This entire section of meat runs from the hip all the way to the front shoulder. So it's not really connected to anything. You're essentially just putting that knife in and just working that knife along the top of the ribs and the spine. And with a little bit of pressure from the back and lifting up, you can just kind of move that knife real easy through there and it'll all come out super quick. And you've got it. Now we're going to show the gutless method on how to remove the tenderloin. The tenderloin is this piece of meat right underneath of the spine that lays kind of in this section right here. So what we're going to do is get one person who's our holder, put as much pressure on this stomach as we can and kind of push down. The cutter is going to cut right underneath the ribs and get to that loin. A lot of the times, at the time you get to this point, there's stomach juices and bacteria are swelling and makes that rumen really tight. So it can be kind of difficult. And if you have to, you can pop a hole in the other side of the stomach to make it go down and makes your life a lot easier. I mean, you can see the piece of meat we're going for. You can stick your hand in and use your index finger as almost like the blade. It should all come out. So it's going to be connected by the hip. And if you need to take a knife and make a cut or two, you can on the other end and pull it all out. We removed all the quarters, the back straps, the tenderloin. You can go ahead and remove some of these other pieces of meat along the rib cage, the brisket, on up the neck and get as much of the neck meat on this side as we possibly can get. It's great for stews or grinding or jerky or something like that. We want to be good stewards of the resource and make use of everything that we possibly can. And then at this point, we're going to go ahead and grab our hide, all one piece, drape it back over the carcass, grab the other side and flip it over. Once you get it back on its side, repeat the entire process all over again, and you've got yourself a processed elk.
Biologists that work for the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife have many tools to control invasive species, but this one is really effective and maybe the most fun. So Joe, we're here in Breathitt County and it looks like we're doing bulldozer racing, but that's not exactly what's going on, is it?
No, we're doing a relatively new technique out here called brush chaining. We're taking 2 big dozers and pulling an anchor chain across the ground to try and kill some of this autumn olive.
Now we're not talking about a chain you may have lying around the house. This is a massive chain that was donated by Ingram Barge Company, correct?
That's correct. It's a 2-inch anchor chain. All told, it's 360 foot and 18,000 pounds.
Stephen Dobie with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Tell me what you guys are doing here today.
One of the things we do year in and year out is try to fund and support these habitat projects to do stewardship on the ground to make a difference for elk, for other wildlife. And so that's what we're here doing today.
So it takes 2 bulldozers, and the idea is that you just drag the chain and remove some of the undesirable plants here that may be killing some of the species that we want to grow up for elk and other species of wildlife.
That's correct. Autumn olive, it's really not that desirable. It's a non-native, and there's definitely a lot better things that we could have here. And you'll see it makes monoculture and shades out everything, so that's all it becomes. It's just a massive stand.
It's a very aggressive species. It can overtake this open meadow field habitat really quickly.
When this plant gets really big, it outcompetes, right?
Outcompetes everything, to the point where the understory will be non-existent. And if it's really thick, it can even be just bare dirt on the ground.
The autumn olive is so thick, there's no fuel underneath it to burn, right?
That's correct. We can't manage any of this by fire, and hopefully we can remove enough of it reseed, carry flame through it, manage it with fire in the future so that we don't have this issue moving forward.
We're at an elk viewing location. It's not easy to see elk when they get in here either, is it?
No, not anymore. This is a relatively short amount of time. This is about 5 years on some of this. You can see how quickly it can overtake an area and choke it out.
Dragging this chain around is something that's done out west some, right?
It is.
You've been out west with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation over the last couple of years. I thought maybe this has a chance to work here in Kentucky as well.
Topography is a limiting factor because it slows things down when you have mountains. If you get onto some of these other properties, you could really make an impact quickly.
This could be a way that you could effectively treat large amounts of property.
It is.
We're here in the beginning of March. This time of year is perfect for doing this for a couple reasons, right?
Yep, we needed to get the work done early enough so I could still get some good seed in. We're not affecting any potential users of the area right now. There's no hunting seasons. Not messing up anybody's deer hunt right now or elk hunt by coming in with bulldozers. So it's a good time of year for different uses of the property. There's also not a lot of young of the year out here utilizing this right now either.
If you're going to use a method of just thrashing unwanted trees, there could be bird's nests in here, but this time of year you don't have any of that.
No, nothing to worry about.
Plus it's kind of damp.
It's kind of damp, it's good. The soil moisture is pretty high, so it makes it easier to uproot some of these autumn olives.
You have to have a way to disturb the plant or the root system.
Yes.
And that's what the hopes is with 18,000 pound chain, that you just bring it through and just destroy it.
These autumn olive are real resilient. The smaller trees, what we've seen is the chain actually just drags over it. It's able to just skirt over the top and the tree pops back up. That's obviously not what we want. So what we found is oftentimes it takes multiple passes in opposite directions. And if it doesn't pull it up, a lot of times you'll see they don't necessarily come all the way out of the earth, but it disrupts the bark system or pull the root system up enough that mortality rates will be higher.
It's really pretty cool watching too. When you see a dozer go through towing a chain like that, just destroying anything in its path as far as trees, and this is going to be beautiful pasture land hopefully here in a year or two. That's the plan, right?
That's the plan. Try and set it back, have nice grassland areas, better viewing opportunities, better hunting opportunities.
It's really interesting too because it was dozers and earth movers that really came in and disturbed the landscape, and now we're using dozers and a massive chain to make it more suitable for wildlife.
That's correct.
This would be a rather costly project for the Department of Fish and Wildlife to undertake, but with Ingram Barge donating the chain and Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation donating the bulldozers, you can manage large amounts of property without chemically spraying it all.
Yep, we're trying to get the maximum amount of benefit for the least cost and least manpower.
What it boils down to oftentimes is just finding that right tool in your toolbox, and this gives us one more.
I think once we get rid of some of this autumn olive, improve the habitat a little better, it will be, once again, a nice place to come and see elk. It is exciting to get to do something new like this, and it's all work in progress.
It looks to be working pretty well. You can tell a major difference on what they've done and what they haven't got to yet.
I'm pleased so far. We've got a little more time we can put into it and evaluate our success, but I'm excited. Hopefully what we learn here, we can take to other states, especially here in the Southern Appalachians.
Now let's check in and see who else has been out having fun in this week's Ones That Didn't Get Away. Here is a nice double taken by father and son Tony and Forrest Cooper of Eastview, Kentucky. These turkeys were taken in Hardin County. Nice job. Check out this hen with a beard. This was taken by Chad Adams of Lexington in 2018 in Grayson County. Nice job. Here's a really nice largemouth bass caught by Joe Bezold on Kentucky Lake. Nice job. Jesse Fulkerson of Sonora, Kentucky had a really nice year of hunting. He took this nice buck and also got this double-bearded turkey. Nice job. Here we have 10-year-old Alyssa Hall who caught this nice striped bass. Said she spent her entire summer fishing. Nice job. Trevor Lippert caught this nice channel catfish in a farm pond in Campbell County. Nice job. Myra Futrell of Mayfield, Kentucky caught and released this nice bluegill at a local farm pond. Nice job. Here we have 6-year-old Audrey Hine of Alexandria, Kentucky, who caught her very first fish while fishing on Kincaid Lake. Nice job. Here we have 9-year-old Jaden Durbin, who's got his second squirrel ever. He took this while hunting with his Uncle John in Hart County. Congratulations. When scouting for deer this fall, make sure you don't overlook low spots in the fence like this. We know deer can jump up to 8 feet high, but they tend to like to use the path of least resistance. And remember, hunting and fishing on private property is a privilege. Always ask permission and thank the landowner. Until next week, I'm your host, Chad Miles, and I hope to see you in the woods or on the water.